the cloud. Perfect. Okay, so I'm just going to throw it out there and let's see what you have to say. So I was talking to somebody today, and they're a person who works a lot on women's programs, and she's very into trying to encourage people in her shul for, to grow, etc. So she sent out what's it called? Like a little survey on like, what would you like to learn? What would you like to know more about? So she was asking me, what would I think the top ones were? Okay, so she put down a list like marriage, Shabbos, like Emunah, Bitachon, personal growth, um, holidays. And she asked me, which one do I think people would want to work on the most, or the first one, the most popular topic. Okay, so let's do it again. Marriage, holidays, Shabbos, personal growth, Emunah, Bitachon. So unmute and tell me what you think.
All right.
Yes.
I think it covers pretty much.
No, but which one do you think was the most popular topic that people wanted?
Oh, Shabbat.
Bitachon.
Okay, so bitachon, and you said Shabbos. Anybody else have any other idea?
Personal growth.
Personal growth. Okay, good. Okay, I'm glad you said it. So for some reason I said marriage. I think it was because she asked me a while ago to speak on marriage. So to me it was like, of course it's marriage. And then she went, of course it's Emunah and Bitachon. So whoever said that, like kol hakavod, it's a very interesting reality. Okay, so put that on the shelf for a second. So that was one thing. So somebody walked in today to speak to me, and very, very sweet person, amazing, not overly religious, all right, but very religious in the heart, but not so much in the action. It's very hard for her to take it on. Anyway, so she was telling me her niece is a psychologist, and she is getting so many new clients. And who are these new clients? They're all these very secular Jews who are developing terrible anxiety and fear from the whole situation that's going on out there. So she was just speaking to her aunt, and she said to the aunt, like, I'm not sure what to tell them. I don't know what to say either. And the aunt said, tell them to turn to their faith. Okay, so it's a very interesting idea. So definitely people are feeling this need, right, for Emunah and Bitachon and faith. So I'm going to tell you, we do need that, no doubt about it. But I feel like we also need to be doing something. Like there's got to be something we're doing that's also going to help us. So Emunah and Bitachon definitely is so important. And I want you to know Emunah and Bitachon is a mitzvah in and of itself. So it's not just like a philosophical, nice thing. No, it's really a mitzvah in and of itself. And there is a tremendous merit for people who have Emunah and Bitachon, all right? But let's say right now, you're going to tell people tap into your faith, and you do have to tap into your faith, but you also have to tap into your actions. Okay, your actions will always affect who you are. What you say to yourself, what you think, and how you act really affect the totality of your being, right? So if we're going to have to navigate, look, it's 100 days. It's a long time. Do you know what I mean? And like someone just texted me today. I don't know them for beans. I don't know who they are. And they said, oh, I really want to meet you. I'm a soldier in the army. And then they like quoted a bunch, my friend, my cousin, my this, my that, can I come? We need money for our battalion. And I'm sitting there thinking in my heart, like, we just gave all this money for the coats. And another friend called me about the battalion of her son. And like, this is what's going to happen. The situation isn't just going poof, right? And it's going to be a constant need. Like we're not talking about, the US that can just throw trillions of dollars and print trillions of dollars. We're talking about little old Israel with 7 million people in it. We're talking about the state of New Jersey. That's what we're talking about. And they're going to need so much continual help. And at the same time that we're trying to help Israel, what's going on in our own lives, in our own communities? This one is sick and that one is sick, and you need to be on a different, you got to be on another Tehillim WhatsApp, and not just for the soldiers, but for this person living down south who's so nice and so wonderful and needs your tefillah. Do you know what I'm trying to say? There's like a lot coming at us. So the question is, how do we step up to the plate, and how do we know what to do? So Torah tells you, number one, would you come into this world for? To walk in the ways of Hashem. Okay, what does that mean to walk in the ways of Hashem? So it says like this, like Hashem is kind, you should be kind. Like Hashem is a Baal Rachamim, Hashem is a master of mercy, you should have mercy. So that's what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about this concept called Rachamim, okay, mercy. Why do I want to talk about it so much? Because the Torah tells you, if you're in a situation where you need mercy, do we need mercy? Yes or no? Yes, I would say yes on steroids. Okay, all right. Look around the world. All right, the world is ready to destroy us. Okay, and has a different capability than once upon a time. We're almost living in the times of Haman. You know, like where Haman really could have destroyed all the Jews. Like I really, you know, like I had someone telling me today, like, I think we're going to move to Panama. Like, you know, we're going to move to this and this where there's no anti-Semitism.
Oh, yeah.
Right. I don't think so. I think every little corner in the world is a tinderbox, right? So I don't think there's really, I mean, maybe you'll get a little longer stretch. I don't know. I really don't know. But I really think that we really need Hashem's mercy. And the way for us to get Hashem's mercy, says Hashem himself, is for you to be compassionate. Okay, so let's learn a little bit of the concept of compassion. So it says, right, like after the Jewish people sinned with the golden calf, which probably was the ultimate chutzpah, you know, in history, right? Like here Hashem just gave you the Torah and you can't even hang on for 40 days. I'm not judging them because you know, we probably would be the same way, but do you know what I'm saying? We just have to appreciate like how dramatic that moment was. And Hashem is going to like wipe the Jewish people out and says, you know, let's start again with you, Moshe, and your children. And Moshe says, no, no, no. If you go down, I'm the captain going down with the ship. Like, there's no way. Don't save me. I'll go down with them. And then Hashem says, okay, no, no, no. I will have mercy. And then Moshe says, okay, here are Hashem's 13 attributes of mercy. So it says, Hashem, Kel Rachum V'Chanun. Okay, Hashem, which we know whenever you say that you see the name Yud Hey Vav Hey, we're always talking about mercy. So the rabbis ask, why did you have to say Hashem? Like one Hashem is enough. Why Hashem? So the rabbis answer, Hashem has mercy on you before you do the sin, and Hashem has mercy on you after you do the sin. And then after that, it says Hashem, Kael. Okay, so Kael is another name of Hashem. It's a very nice, right? You hear about that name. You hear that name, Kael. When we're going to go into the Shemona Esrei, you know, we're also going to hear that name. So Kael means a high level of compassion. Hashem has a really high level of compassion. Probably means before you sin, after you sin, and after you sin again. So you trip up and Hashem is still trying to be full of mercy and love. And so therefore, this is a character trait that we want to develop. So a lot of us think we're very merciful. Like all of like, you know, like if anybody was just like laying on the floor screaming, or you were in a restaurant and somebody's choking, there's a good chance that we're not going to just walk by. Okay, I don't think any of us are those types. We'll pull out our phone. We might not be able to do the Heimlich maneuver, but we will try to call or get help or whatever. That's one level of mercy, but we want to up it. Okay, that's what we're going to be talking about today. How to be merciful in a very big way. And to be merciful in a big way is what you see the Jewish people trying very hard right now. Wherever they're seeing a void, they want to pick it up. Do you know what I mean? That's really mercy is I am looking. It's not that I'm just waiting. I don't just, you know, react. I'm actively looking around to see what people could use for a pick-me-up. I'm looking at people and I see a void. Like I see they're kind of lonely. They're the ones nobody are talking to. So I'm going to go out of my way to sit in them. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm looking to see, you know, like when people go, oh, do you need a ride? Blah, blah, blah. Like I'm looking around, I'm scanning the room. You know, this person looks like nobody's talking to them. Like I got to go over and start a conversation. Or I'm looking at this person and they have a face that kind of looks a little down. So, you know, I want to go over to them and just say, hi, you know, anything I can do to help, or, you know, or just say something, you know, I just want you to know you look so lovely today. You know what I'm trying to say? You're actively looking to fill a void in someone's life. And you act, not only are looking, you're going to get in there and do something about it. So that's kind of what happened. Like October 7th, shake the Jewish world. And suddenly all the Jewish people are like, we got to help this, we all, like, they need this, they need that. We're going to send tons and tons and tons and tons of stuff. It's all beautiful and great, but Hashem has to bless us with the continued ability to have this compassion and this mercy and the energy to keep it up, right? Because it's hard when you have to sustain it for a long time. So where is the word rachamim come from? If you look at the root, it's rechem. Rechem is the womb. So the womb is like where, you know, a baby is nurtured and where a baby is created and where you give life. So the Torah is telling you that when you have rachamim on someone, when you look around and you see a need, okay, so let's say you see this person and, you know, they're never really getting invited for Shabbos and they're very alone. A lot of times, like, you know, single mothers, this and that's not so simple. Or even single people, it could be very lonely. So if you're able to kind of scout it, right, and say, you know what, I think this person's not getting too many invitations. Maybe I can call a couple friends and we could all take turns. You know what I mean? Just let that person feel like they're in the loop. All right. So you're giving them life. Rachamim is giving someone life. Does this make sense to everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, good. Thank you. So that's this idea of rechem. Like, right? You giving your whole body over, okay, to
What's
this.
Rahmanis? Is that the he?
Yes, that's what I'm trying to say. Rahmanis, it comes from that root word rechem, which means womb. So that's what I'm trying to tell you. So what's the big key of the womb? The big key of the womb is that it gives life. And when you are compassionate, you have mercy, you are giving literally life to someone. That's what we have to appreciate, right? It's a big deal. Okay. It's not just a simple thing. It's not just, oh, you were so nice, you invited them for Shabbos. No, when you sit down and you talk to somebody, or you pick up the phone and you call someone, or you decide to be a chavrusa for someone, like on Partners in Torah, you're giving them life. Okay, you're really giving people, like, nurturing. It's emotional, spiritual. You give somebody a supper, physical life. So it's just like they're the little baby in the womb. That's what this whole idea of rachamim comes from. And really, the more we give, the more we love, right? That's why parents have a much stronger love for their kids than, unfortunately, kids have for their parents, okay? Because the parent is continually nurturing and doing all the diapers and the this and the that. And you're like, yeah, you changed my diaper. I remember for 2 cents you changed my diaper. You know what I mean? So it sort of like fades into your memory. But the person who's done it and done it and done it, it's like in their heart and in their soul and in their whole being, right? So that's what we're trying to say. We are trying here to feel a sense of responsibility to give this world life, because right now there are enemies out there who are looking to give death and destruction. Do you see? And like, so we can be in the army of rachamim. That's what we can do. We can't pick up.
When you go out, after work, I went to the promenade and I saw one person I hadn't seen for a while, and then another and another, and all three. And I was giving them, like, some were religious, some were not Jewish. And I was saying, we are the good people. Don't worry. God is going to be good.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Do the right thing. So wherever I go, I try and
perfect. Okay.
But something in it.
Yeah, that's
so
exactly.
Wow. Okay. You know, like
perfect.
I heard this morning, fear or faith. So
right.
if you get fear, pick up the Tehillim book.
Yes. Pick up the Tehillim, get your faith, and get out there and do something for someone else. Have rachamim. And then Hashem says, you have mercy on everyone else. I will have mercy on you. And in terms of being the Jewish people, like this is incredible. Remember, I always told you there are 3 character traits that the Jewish people have. Does anybody remember what they are? Anybody remember any of those 3? Okay. 3 character traits that are going to tell
Last
me.
night, Chesed, Gevurah.
Chesed, not Gevurah, close. Chesed, you're gomle chesed. Baishanus. Okay, Baishanus means shame. You know, like you have this part of, right, the shame that you want to, you know, shame I made a mistake and I therefore will change. I'll keep my bar up. And then it's rachamim, mercy. So listen carefully. Halachically, by law, Jewish law, if there is a Jew who is acting with cruelty, the rabbis say you have to find out if he 100% is Jewish. If there's some kind of a cruel, like a Jewish person who's cruel, who like was like, you know, these mass murderers go into a school and shoot people up, anything like that, then you have to find out if he truly is Jewish. There is a question of his yichus, because it's not possible. Jews are not wired with cruelty. It's just not part of us. And you could see it throughout history. How cruel nations have been to us is beyond. And Jews do not take revenge. Okay? We didn't take all the prisoners that we got from Hamas right now and chop their heads off in public or abuse them or rape them or do any of those things to them, right? No, instead, we have rachamim. And if they're sick, what do? We treat them in a hospital, like help, okay? Sometimes we have too much rachamim. Do you know what I'm trying to say? But it's just an interesting concept. So we have to realize like this character trait is inside of us. It may be latent, like we may not be using it all the time, may be dormant, may be sleeping, but we have to wake it up, and we have to wake it up now more than any other time, okay? More than any other time. So we want to just take a look now on this concept of rachamim. How deep is it in the Jewish psyche? So you need to appreciate that the Torah is the one, you know, like these, like all these animal right activists, it comes from the Torah, okay? The Torah says you even have to have rachamim on any living things. Really, like the Torah wouldn't even want you to take a plant and rip it up just for fun. Like we're not allowed to be sitting around just pulling the grass off and ripping leaves off because we're in a bad mood, okay? It's not like that. These are like living things. You're not supposed to beat animals. And in fact, the Torah tells you that I made grass for your animals and I made food for you to eat. So the fact that it said I made grass for your animals first and then I made food for you to eat means you feed your animals before you sit down to have your own breakfast. Okay?
Yeah. On show last night, and it was from Israel. It was saying the poor animals, people don't realize how many through this, how many animals have been displaced, cats and dogs, and they want to find homes.
Yeah, I'm sure. So I'm just telling you that as Jews, rachamim, this concept of mercy is huge. And how are all the leaders of the Jewish people picked? Mostly from being shepherds. They're actually called the 7 shepherds. The people who come to visit you in your sukkah are called the 7 shepherds. Why was Moshe picked? They said part of the reason of why Moshe was picked, Barb, we lost you, so I hope you're coming back. Why Moshe was picked. Thank you, Talia, for still being there, because I'm so happy I have a face to teach to. Okay, so why was Moshe picked? They say because of the way he even treated the animals. He was a shepherd, and it's a beautiful story. Like he watched how the sheep needed to graze. So he would let like the younger, you know, stronger sheep, he would only take them to eat the tougher pieces of grass. And then he was very makbid that what's it called? He was very makbid that the older sheep would get the like softer grass because it's harder for them to chew, like the sheep with no teeth, okay, and then the younger sheep. So he was very calculated to make sure that every like animal got the right treatment. Like he had mercy even on the animals. Like it's an incredible story when you think about it. It's really incredible. And in fact, the story of how he even gets to that burning bush was because of a little shepsel, a little tiny sheep, had ran away. It was really thirsty, so it took a little drink. And then Moshe felt so sorry for this little sheep, like he's carrying the sheep back. And that's when he sees this burning bush. That's when Hashem says, you know what? I chose you from everyone. So Rachamim is a huge character trait. So how do you can learn a lot from Moshe. Moshe had it all. Like we really need to appreciate the fact Moshe was not enslaved. He was in the palace. He was raised as an Egyptian, right? Batya took him from the special basket, right? She raised him as her own son in the palace. So he had everything. As when he got older, Paro said to him, now I want you to be in charge of certain aspects of the running of this palace. Yet he always remembered, right? His mother, Miriam, nursed him, probably nursed him till he was 4, right? Nursed him and would always talk to him about being a Jew and a this and a that. So that scene, it's a very crucial scene when he like goes out, like he's like, who am I? Like, am I an Egyptian prince or am I part of the Jewish people? And he walks out of the palace, right? And what does he see? Who remembers what he sees? First thing that he sees that they talk about in the Torah. Yeah, no, that's the next day. But good try, Lior.
The guard.
Yes,
guard.
The guard, perfect, Tali. So he sees the guard, right, that's whipping a Jew. It's at that moment that he's looking like to the right and to the left. So some of the Meforshim, some of the rabbis tell us, he was looking to see if he was going to kill this Egyptian, was there anything good ever coming out of him? And he looks to the right and the left. No, this guy's not going to have good prodigy. There's nothing good coming out of him. But other Meforshim say he looked to the right and to the left, and he had to make a huge decision. Who am I? Like, am I an Egyptian prince? If I am, I don't care about these Jewish people. I never have to live with them. I can hide in the palace, and good luck to you. And he says, no, I'm a Jew, and I am going to share in your pain. Like, that's huge. Do you know what I mean? That's huge. That's really huge. And that's what I think, like, we're all kind of being called on. Either we're going to look towards Israel and to the Jewish people, and we're going to say, this is the team we identify with. And here's where we're going to put, our strengths and our prayers are going to be with our Achenu Kol Beis Yisrael. Or I'm going to take that mezuzah down. I'm going to, run. I'm going to find somewhere to hide. And I'm just going to, bend down and pretend this isn't happening. Do you see what I'm saying? So yeah. You have this moment in history, like I'm being really, really honest. This is moments in history that we're in right now. And this is what Hashem is saying, like, where will your rachamim lie? Where will you align your compassion with? Okay, so will you be, so like you see with Moshe, right? That this is where he chooses to go, okay? Okay. So now, so we said the 2 kinds of rachamim is rachamim, like where somebody's standing at your door, knock, knock, knock. I need some charity. Somebody's standing right in your face. Please, can I borrow your car? Blah, blah. Fine. That's one kind of choice. The second choice is that you actively look around. You're actively looking around. So I really want to shout out to Barb, because Barb, when you said, you did exactly what I was going to say. You gave a perfect example. You looked around, you went to the mall. Like, let's be real. A lot of times we see people and we pretend we didn't see them. Like, be honest, right? You go to
see them, especially all 3 different.
Yeah, and you went out. You went out of your way, right? It sounds like you went out of your way, right? Like sometimes you want to get in and out of this place. You're not interested. You don't say hello. You just like pretend you don't see them. You keep your eyes down and scoot, So you did the right thing, all right? You actively went around to look, right? And to say, and to be, and to interact with these people. And not only to interact, but to actually make them happy. So let's all be real right now. And I want people to unmute and contribute. Let's be honest, okay? Do you think people are needy today? Do you think that really like everyone's walking around like, what a great day, okay? Or are people walking around and they could use a little,
Yeah, a little
Pick
love.
me up for sure. I
a
think
little
people
pick me
need
up?
more,
Yes, okay, perfect.
and
People,
not just Jews.
no, everybody. I agree with
Yeah,
you. I
exactly.
agree with you. I
I
think,
I said to this non-Jewish lady, she's from Syria. I
oh,
know her from shoppers long time ago. I
yeah,
saw
yeah,
her and I said to her, you know, and I said, this is a war between good and evil. She said, oh, wow, thanks so much. Yeah, that's what it is.
yeah, yeah,
It's not, you know,
yeah,
I like
yeah,
people that
100%.
the good will always prevail.
Right. Good. Good. That's for sure. Very, very good. That for sure. So it's an interesting idea. Okay. So in other words, today we should be looking around. Like, so if we feel like everybody needs a pick me up, what's easy pick me ups? Like, what's an easy pick me up?
smile,
A smile. Yeah.
Yeah. Leora, did you just say a smile?
smile.
Yeah. Smile is huge. Like, it's really huge. The Torah is really into this, like so into this. It's unbelievable. And this is, we're talking thousands of years ago. Now, like, let's put this together. Okay. Even without this war, people today are not smiling, they're not looking up, and they're not giving any eye contact. Like, it's a very interesting world we're in because, like, let's say if you looked at a child's development, like, what do babies love more than anything? A smile. You know, when you,
Smiles.
yeah, it's an interesting idea. It's really fundamental. It's a fundamental emotional nurturing need that we have is for people to look at us and to smile. I'm not kidding. So the Torah tells you, like, you're supposed to look at everybody. Listen to this. It's unbelievable. Kol ha'adam, like every person, b'sefer panim yafos, with a nice, with a beautiful face. So listen to what the Torah says about a beautiful face. So it doesn't mean full makeup. Okay. Okay. A beautiful face means a face, listen carefully, appropriate to every occasion. What does that mean to you? A face appropriate to every occasion. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, if you go to a funeral, you're not going to be
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So a face appropriate to every occasion. Perfect, Barb. So if you're going to a funeral, you're not going like, like, I know it's so sad and someone passed away, but let me just tell you, I just won the lottery. Like, this isn't the time. Okay. Do you know what I mean? So a safer panim yafos means, it's like, if I had to explain it, I would say a face that's empathetic. You know what I mean? The same thing. Like, sometimes people are just talking to you. Do you know how many people today, like, it's incredible to me how, like, you could be walking around and then somebody will just spill their guts to you. You don't even know them. Do you know what I mean? But just people are so desperate to just be able to release the stuff that's inside, and they want to release it safely. They just want you to listen. They don't even want you to fix. It's not even,
Gail,
yeah, sure, Tali.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Just something that comes to me as you're speaking. And hi, everybody. I'm Tali. Hi. What comes to me is it's being authentically present. It's
Beautifully said.
not being in my head with my own agenda, needing to get from my own A to B, and anything that's in front of me is in my way of getting to B. It's, if there's something in front of me, there's a reason. If it's a person that needs something, a smile, a hug, a hello, whatever. So it's that's what, it's just really being out of my own head and present to what's actually here.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Okay. Could not have said it better at all. Okay. That's exactly. So that, could you imagine 3,000 years ago, the rabbis are telling you that. So that need is on steroids today. You know what I mean? In a way that we can't even understand. Okay. So that's what the Torah was telling you. All right. And now listen to this, which is very interesting. So one, exactly what Tully said, fully present, fully there with the right face, because that can happen. You're not listening. Has anybody ever had that happen where you're like sort of pretending to listen and you're not really listening because you're also, doing the whatever email or you're texting,
Yeah.
the person's going blah, blah, blah. And then you just like laughed and the person went, what are you laughing about? What I'm saying? I just said something really sad. And you're like, oh, I thought you were kidding. You know what I mean? Because you're not really present. You could end up like saying completely the wrong thing, showing the wrong face.
Have that with someone, but you know what? Sometimes people have hearing problems.
Yeah, that's another
So
story.
it's like,
So you know what? It's funny. They were saying, it's so funny you said that because
yeah,
the source of where I was learning all this Torah, he actually said people should have Rahmanis. I can't believe you said that. They were saying about how people should have Rahmanis for people who have hearing problems.
Yeah.
Because,
Wow.
it's hard to really be with people like that because they're never getting you right. But sometimes just to go over there, just have a simple conversation, just show them that, you're willing to participate with them, So it's really a nice idea. So now listen to the idea. What do you think it means when it says, like, the mission is saying, wherever you go, have a safer panim yafos for kol ha'adam. When I say all the people, what do you think the Torah means for all the people? Have like a nice, pleasant
the whole world, for all men.
Okay, for all of mankind, yeah? Like, what do you think?
Yeah.
Talia, what do you think? Talia over here. Talia B. Okay, so what do you think it means? This idea of, having this like kind face for everybody. What do you mean by everybody? What do you think it means?
You mean people you don't like?
Yes. Okay, interesting. Interesting. Okay. That was very interesting. Okay, good. So let's do this. Okay, so we're saying total strangers and even people who might rub you the wrong way a little, you know what I mean? Just to give them space. You don't have to go get married to them. Okay, you don't have to, move in with them. You just have to go like, hi.
Be a light to the nations.
Yeah, so you just want to be light. So even people who could be a little, so that was very good. And then the third thing the rabbi said, which is really interesting to me, was the people that you know the most. Like he was saying, you don't realize, but let's say, when you're married for a while or your kids are with you for a while, you take them for granted and they take you for granted. You walk in the door, nobody's saying hello, nobody's saying this, nobody's saying that. Oh, you came home? It's so funny how much halacha, how many Jewish laws there is on being a mensch. Like in the real deal, your parents walk through the door, you're supposed to run, okay, to greet them. Your parents are leaving, you're supposed to walk them to the door. The same thing when you have company. When you have company, it's a big mitzvah to walk the company like out the door a little bit. The idea is to like show this kind of respect and esteem and love, you know what I mean, that I have for you. And I think that's also totally getting lost. Like there's something, like it was cute the way he said it, like if people would greet people the way they did the very first time, you know what I mean, they met them. Or like the first time, whatever, your baby walked or did something, you were like, like if the person would walk in and say, hi, I'm so happy to see you're home. Just that. Like, wouldn't that make us all, like every one of us? Or I'm leaving. Oh, bye. Have a wonderful day. Let me take you to the door. You know what I mean? Like, boom, would everybody's esteem go up, like their sense of self. And it's so interesting that those are the people. It's easier to make a smile to a stranger sometimes than it is to make it to the people in your house. Because you're like, I'm married around 20 something years, 30 years, 40 years. Like, I really have to keep doing this. So it's like an interesting idea. I remember Lori Palatnik used to tell this story. It's very cute about Rebbetzin Weinberg, which was Rav Noach Weinberg's brother's wife. Okay, Rav Noach Weinberg's brother was also, Yaakov Weinberg was a very prominent Rosh Yeshiva in Baltimore. Okay, so his wife, she never wore makeup except when her husband would be coming home. Which is interesting because most of us, you putchka your whole face for the outside. When you're, when you get to your house, you put on a shlumpy this and a shlumpy that and like whatever, right? But, for the outside, you're all dressed up. She was in reverse. So she'd always like check her lipstick first when the husband was coming home. So it was so cute. One time she fell asleep on the couch and the husband was coming and the kids were like, oh no, Abba's coming. So they ran to her, I don't know, ran to her purse. They took out the lipstick and they put it on her. He was asleep. So it's just like a really cute, you know what I mean,
So
idea.
funny.
Yeah, it's a really cute, very cute idea. But this is what we have to learn. So now listen to this lesson because this one blew my mind. Okay. So here's when we speak about having rachamim. So there's a famous story in the Torah itself. I think it's in Parshas Balak. Okay, I think where Balak hires Bilam. He hires like this non-Jewish prophet to curse the Jewish people. Okay, so he hires him to curse the Jewish people, and Bilam has a connection to Hashem. So he asks Hashem, like, should I do it? And Hashem says, no, not really. It's not a great idea. And Bilam is like, okay, so I'll do it. You hear what you want to hear. Okay. So he's on his way to go curse the Jewish people. And Hashem is trying to stop him. So he actually puts like an angel in the path. And the donkey that Bilam is riding on, he sees the angel, right? And Bilam doesn't. So Bilam's whacking this donkey and whacking the donkey and whacking the donkey. Do you know what I mean? And then finally the donkey like turns around and starts talking, okay, which is incredible, which I think is the beginning of, Ed the Talking Horse. I don't know if anybody remembers watching that 100 years ago on television. I think that's where it came from. Anyway, so what happens? The angel ends up telling Bilam, like, why did you keep hitting the donkey? So Bilam answers, Katati, I sinned, kilo yadati, because I didn't know. I sinned because I didn't know that you were there. So the Torah says that that's no excuse because the donkey stopped. The donkey was something that, you know what I mean, that was always Bilam's like cherished animal, right? And he knew really that Hashem didn't want him to go. So this is the thing. When it comes to having rachamim, it's like we have to look around. And it can't be like, I'm really chatasi. I'm like saying this to myself because there's people that in my life that I should have maybe been more careful with. Do you know what I mean? Like where you see that people really were suffering, right? And you didn't pay full attention, right? And then like bad things happened. And then, you go, but I didn't know. So chatati kilo yadati is not really 100% an excuse all the time. Do you know what I mean? And that's something that's like painful, I think, for us to have to admit to. You know what I mean? It was because we didn't want to see it, because having to see it would mean we'd have to get involved. So sometimes you kind of choose to like avert your eyes, and it's their problem. So Talia, I see your hands up. Do you want to say something?
It's like in Yom Kippur you say different sins you've done. One of the first is unintentional, like there's different levels of sin. Right. So hatati shelo yadati is
I sinned
unintentional.
But the Torah is trying to tell you when it comes to being merciful, be very careful. Do you know what I mean? Because sometimes having mercy means being proactive. In other words, you made it your business to look around. Sometimes you can make it your business to look around and you're really just clueless. But a lot of times it's you didn't make it your business to look around. Do you know what I mean? Right? You know what I mean? And then the story explodes. And then really inside, you always knew there was, do you know what I'm saying? But you never
Totally.
Right. But you never really made the effort. So that's it's like.
But sometimes you do know, and you do try and make it.
You can't do anything, right?
Kind of like.
Right. I've had many people where you try, right? You try to help, but they don't really want to be helped. Like, right? You have to want to be helped.
But sometimes you don't even try to help.
Right. And sometimes you don't even try. So you see what I'm saying? This is why I like this whole thing, because I really feel this is where we're at right now. And the more acts of mercy we can do, right? The more mercy Hashem will come and give to us, which I'm going to explain even more. But I think this is an important topic. Like, I really feel it's a very important topic, especially right now. Okay, so, and I'm so grateful again that you're here. So I have someone to teach it to. Okay, so I want to tell you how important, it's interesting. Hashem goes out of his way to teach us how everyone needs encouragement. This is a crazy story. Medrash says it. Okay, so Moshe goes up to Har Sinai, and he says, it's interesting that he sees Hashem. This is what the Medrash says. He sees Hashem like writing in the Sefer Torah, making the little crowns on the letters in the Sefer Torah. And he doesn't say anything. And Hashem turns around to him and he says, how come you didn't say shalom? Why didn't you greet me? You would greet people in the other world. Like, why didn't you greet me? And he's like, me greet you? I'm like, Hashem, I didn't really think I'm a little peon, like I'm a little nothing, and you wanted me to greet you? He goes, yeah, I wanted you to encourage me, to tell me hatzlacha and bracha and what I'm doing. So it wasn't that Hashem really needs encouragement. It was that Hashem wanted to give us a message that very great people also need encouragement. Everybody needs encouragement. Does anyone agree with me? You could be great,
Yeah.
right?
100%.
100% at whatever you do. Like every time, right? No, Barb, every time you probably finish, doing someone's hair or you want them to turn around and say, you know what, Barb, thanks so much. This looks great, right? And if they go and in their head, well, of course, Barb knows, I come here all the time. But if they don't say it, right? If they don't say it, you feel like something's missing. Do you know what I mean? Right? Does anybody know what I'm talking about?
It's so interesting. You said this morning. I had such a nice morning. I don't always have it like this, but I actually started last night. My 8-year-old son gave me a card that they made at school, but it was his message he wrote telling me how much he loves me and why he loves me. And it was so sweet. And then this morning, I made him and his older brother eggs for breakfast. I don't usually do lofty making breakfast in the morning. And my older son, who's like 25, so he says, wow, Mom, this is so delicious. Thank you so much. And, and then my phone rang and it was my husband who finished at shul. And he says, honey, I know you're really busy. I'm like, yeah. He goes, I just want to tell you I love you.
Wow. Okay.
I know. I know. I'm like, what is going on here? Right? But it's what you're saying. It was like I was the recipient of this like love for no reason kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Like just the thank you. And so yes.
This is what I'm saying. So imagine, right, like Hashem himself is trying to show. So this is being compassionate. This is having rachamim. This is having recognition. And this is what rechem, giving people life. So that's what I'm saying. Like, we could do it right with the people in front of us. We don't have to go to build an orphanage in Uganda. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you have these what do I do all day? I don't do this. I don't do that. Let's just try saying hello. Okay. To the people in our house. Just try.
It starts at home and people get used to that. That's how it snowballs.
Right. It's so right. We're always thinking it's outside and has to be big and famous and this. And Hashem is going around telling every Jew, hold on, everybody, little things, just consistent in your own home. I'll come down. The Shekhinah will come down. So it's very interesting. Like Hashem, Jewish people, I really love this. Anybody notice that somebody put a sticker on the door of Sobeys, Yisrael B'tach B'Hashem? Did anyone notice it?
I haven't seen it. No, I haven't.
So take a look, unless they took it off, which I hope they didn't. It's right on the front door. When you have to walk through those doors, it's just a sticker. I think somebody just stuck it on and it says Yisrael B'tach B'Hashem. What does that mean? Hashem, we trust in Hashem. So when it comes to war, which we are in right now, so we call Hashem Ish HaElokim, Ish HaMilchama. Sorry, Ish HaMilchama, Hashem Shemo. Okay, so let me say that again. Ish HaMilchama, Hashem is the man of war. And that's the truth. There is no way. We could never win any war, okay? The Maccabee story, every war that we ever had to really fight, is only with Hashem. Okay, we're not, how can people whose character traits, let's get real, are kindness, shame, and rachamim ever win a war? Okay, like people who are usually warriors, they're the cruelest things in the world, right? Like even today in China, they make the soldiers drink blood, like real blood. Why? So they can get used, you know what I mean? So it'll just take away their passion.
That's
Yeah, so we have to go to war. We can only go with Hashem. And even when we go to war, the Torah tells you, like, once you've killed someone or you had to do those kinds of things, it wears on your character. So what does the Torah tell you? Torah tells you, Hashem says, I'll promise you, you're going to war for a mitzvah. I promise you that I will give you rachamim. I will give you this character trait of mercy. I'll return it to you. I'll return it to you. And on top of it, I will show you mercy going forward. So that's what we have to do. We're surrounded right now in a very cruel world. Like the cruelty is beyond. And like, forget about the war broke out. Even before the war broke out, like the world was just so cruel. Like people murdering people, stealing, all kinds of things going on that were so horrible, like horrible, going into schools, shooting kids, like crazy. You know what I mean? Like, okay. So like it or not, all this cruelty, it's like a disgusting negative energy out there. Do you know what I mean? So Hashem is saying, I'll fight the battles for you. Don't worry. I will. And then I will give you back that sense of rachamim, right? And then I will protect you with rachamim also. And that's why today it would be it is really good for us to really work on this character, and you have to work hard on it. So forget about the war, the ugliness, the this. Now let me just give it to you in a small little way. So I think I said it yesterday, but it's worth saying it again. So I told everybody, when you go to the health food stores, you get those health food magazines. So this health food magazine had this article called The Price of Nice. Okay. And what it was saying, Tali, was amazing. It was crazy. It was talking about, like, I always laugh, like Christmas becomes like the who knows what kind of stress. Okay. You're going to have to cook for 8 people. All right. So we have to do that for Shabbos on steroids. All right. So these people are out, and here, how are you going to work with it and this and that. So this was the first time I saw the article. Usually the article would say, okay, this is what you do. Here's a cute recipe. This one was the price of nice isn't worth it. I couldn't believe it. The price of nice isn't worth it. Stand up and tell these people you really don't want to be with them.
Oh my gosh.
Like the holiday, and instead stay home. Okay. Journal, enjoy a good coffee. What? Okay. Once a year? Like, okay, I can understand. You don't want to be with your family all the time. But once a year, you got to sit with grandma. You know what I mean? And forget it. The price of nice is too much. Okay, so I'm just trying to tell you, you got to fight all that, right? You're living in a world like nice is like, why would you be nice? Okay, so now price of nice is priceless, okay? And Hashem will give us such incredible compassion for our compassion. So I just want to tell you, let me just see. I just want to, because I know we are winding down here in terms of the time. So I just want to get this right. Okay. Yeah. So I just want to say this. Yeah. Price of nice and not the price of nice, but being compassionate is also being very careful what you talk about in certain circles. Do you know what I mean? Like you shouldn't talk about like, oh my gosh, it took me 6 years to finish this amazing, gorgeous kitchen and I have what I want, when you're with somebody who can't even afford their rent. Okay. Like we have to really feel out the crowd, right? You don't talk about kids when you're in front of people who don't have, like we just have to, right? I mean, and sometimes you don't realize like that is a lack of compassion. It's a lack of rachamim. Okay, if you're with the kind of people who are like, fine, talk about it, I enjoy it, that's great. But the average person does not. Okay, the average person who has a kid struggling in school, you know what I mean, it's barely hanging on, and you have to talk about, well, everybody knows my son's the valedictorian. So the Torah is very, very, very particular about that. Like, even if you have lots and lots of money, doesn't mean you go around with your rings like this, okay? You don't have to go, does it show well? You know what I'm saying? Like, we have to know what to say and where to say it. So it's interesting when he talks about rachamim. It's not something that we do, but in a second talia, I just want to say one thing. So let's say when you go to a shiva house, you should know there is a halacha that you really shouldn't start talking until the person who is sitting shiva starts talking to you. And that's a funny thing. Like, I was once at a shiva house and they were really torn. And you know what? Nobody started talking. And the truth was they didn't want to. They didn't want to sit there and go blah, 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 blah. Because sometimes at shiva house, you get very anxious. You don't know what to say. Really, the thing to say is say nice things about the person who passed
Yeah.
away. Right?
Yeah.
Or like just to be empathetic, this must be so hard and it's not easy. And you know what I mean? That kind of thing. But a lot of times people come in and they don't know what to say. So they'll go, oh yeah, we're going on vacation and, or, oh yeah, the weather's really bad, But sometimes the person who's sitting shiva, they don't really want to be distracted and they don't want to feel like that. I found very hard one time. Like, I ended up having to sit shiva 1 week after the other. My parent, it was like not a simple story, right? So it was very hard. It was almost like I felt like I had to keep the conversation going. So the halacha really is, if there is no conversation, that's a good thing too. Just you sitting there and being empathetic is also beautiful. So I want to end with 2 incredible stories. Incredible. Now I'm so happy that my grandson is named after this Rosh Yeshiva, Rav Nosson Tzvi Finkel. So he's a great Rosh Yeshiva, was a Yeshiva of Mir Yeshiva. What was he the most famous for? He was a Rosh Yeshiva with terrible Parkinson's. Terrible. Okay, so as it went worse and worse, he came to a point that he really couldn't talk. All right. He wasn't a well person. This woman came to him like for blessing and for help. So she had a terminal illness. She probably like spoke to him, and she said to him, I have a terminal illness. Please, I want you to pray for me. Please give me words of encouragement. So he had somebody with him. And like he tried to scribble on a piece of paper, whatever it was. And on the paper, he said to her, I'm so sorry, I can barely talk. So what I could do for you, listen to what he said. He said, you sit here and say Tehillim, and I'll cry with you.
Oh,
And that's what he did. She would come to him and he would just sit and cry with her. So she wrote a book on her journey, and she wrote the most meaningful part of everything that happened to her. And what changed her the most was when Rav Nosson Tzvi Finkel would just sit and cry with her. Like it's an unbelievable story. So I'm going to tell you one last story, and then we could do a Tehillim, because no matter what we're doing, we're always going to be thinking about what's going on, and we want to see a difference. So I just want to get the name of the person. That's what I'm looking for a minute. Oh, I hope I can remember. Where is it? Okay, so it's a famous rabbi. Unfortunately, I'm not finding his name right now, but he was the chief rabbi of Antwerp. Okay, when he was younger, he was in the Holocaust. All right, so the Nazis came into his yeshiva. They lined up each point. They shot them one at a time, like disgusting. Okay, they shot them one at a time. So he had like maybe 2 minutes before it was his turn, and he was in line, and he just suddenly started to talk to Hashem. He said, Hashem, please have rachamim, have mercy on me, like I had mercy. What does it mean, like he had mercy? He remembered a story a year earlier. A boy had come to the yeshiva who Nebuch was mostly blind. He could barely see. He didn't have a lot of money, hardly had anything. There was no place for this boy in the yeshiva. He had to sleep on the floor. So this rabbi, it was Reb Chaim, this rabbi, this Chaim, he went to this boy and he said, he thought in his head he couldn't sleep. Bad enough the boy was blind, he should sleep on the floor. So he told this boy, you should sleep in my bed, and I'm happy to sleep on the floor. It's no problem for me. So he slept on the floor, and the blind boy slept in his bed for the entire year. So he remembered in those 2 minutes, he remembered that act of mercy that he did. And he cried to Hashem and he said, please, like I had that mercy on that boy, have that mercy on me. And when it was his turn to get shot, the German looked at him and he said, you look like a good kid. Run before I shoot you. And he was saying
Wow.
he survived the war. He ended up becoming chief rabbi in Antwerp. It's like
Wow.
unbelievable stories, but it's just good for us to know. So what's our job? Okay, so our job is to be looking around for people who need that extra love, that extra hug, including the people right in front of our face. You don't always have to go to, you know what I mean, outside, but even the people right in front of us, just to say, you know, I love you, I appreciate you, good morning, hi, you know, what's up, that, we all know, right? And then to look around, you know, within our friends and our this, and then give people that ear, and like Tali said, like that full, authentic, I'm listening to you. And it's fine. So you want to just tell me about your silly new shoes? I'm happy to hear about them. I really am. If that's going to just make you feel good and put some sun in this world, color code, okay? And then the more rachamim we'll have, the more rachamim Hashem will have. And that's what we're looking for.
Amen.
Okay, so let's quickly, I don't mean quickly, but we could do that one shir lamalos, even if it's just a few of us. And you know what? Because prayer in Tzibur, like this is considered a congregation, you know what I mean? So when we're praying together, you know, it's already something bigger and better, all right? So if anybody has it, it's 121.
Okay.
Okay, do you have it? Everybody has like, or if not, I'll
I
say
have it.
Oh, you have it. Okay, great. Okay, now I also have it. Okay, so I'm just going to stop the recording. And you know what? Remind me, I didn't send out the recording from yesterday, right?